The Seahawks came back, beat the Eagles, a 92-yard drive led by, of course, Drew Lock. Drew Lock wasn't sure he was going to be playing until about an hour before the game with Geno Smith, and got in there and took him 92 yards, the game-winning score with 28 seconds to go. That was Seattle's longest touchdown drive of the season. Now, prior to this season, prior to what the Eagles have done, losing 3 or more games in the month of December, there have been 3 teams who made it to the Super Bowl in spite of doing that. The 1989 Broncos went 1-3 in December. The Colts in 2006 went 2-3 in December. And the 2012 Ravens went 1-4 in December. Of those teams, 2 went on to win the Super Bowl. The 06 Colts, they beat the Bears, and the 2012 Ravens beat the 49ers. But with the Eagles, you're starting to go, okay, what are the problems here? And can they be fixed in time for this team to still, A, win the division and not going to be the number 1 seed now? Now you got to hold on for dear life that you're able to hold off the Cowboys and have home field advantage as well. Here is Jalen Hurts, who flew cross-country under the weather on a private plane to be able to get there to start for the Eagles last night, and what he said about his teammates.
We didn't execute. I don't think we're committed enough. Just got to turn it around. It's a challenge that we have to embrace. Just continue to see it through.
Okay, he wasn't hit once last night in the pocket. He wasn't sacked once. And he's saying we as, my teammates and me, but, instead of saying, I need to be, but when you say we, now all of a sudden you're like, okay, wait a minute here. What's he talking about? Here's another exchange that he had with the reporter after the loss.
What do you mean by that, about being committed enough?
Commitment. I don't know that I had a dictionary on me now. I don't know how else to say that.
I guess, how are you seeing that present itself?
Just, it's a matter of being on the same page. It takes everyone being all in all aspects, and, it starts with me.
Okay. Now, you can, maybe slice that, dice that, and come up with something a little bit more that he's trying to say, or maybe he shouldn't be trying to say. Because when you say our commitment, then all of a sudden, if I'm a reporter in the room, I'm like, who are you talking about? Aside from you, who are you talking about? If you really want to go a little deeper dive with that. You can hear it in his voice. He doesn't have much energy. Even when he scored his touchdown, he ran for another touchdown, which he's done really well this year. He didn't even want to celebrate with his teammates. It looked like he was really, really low on energy. He can run the football. I still hold out some doubt about him being in the pocket and being able to lead the team in the pocket like that. A wonderful talent, and by all accounts, a good kid. But you don't get hit, you don't get sacked. You should be winning those games. Now, that pass defense is going to be an issue. That's a bigger issue to me. And they've tried to, pick up some players here, but it doesn't look like that. I mean, look, Drew Lock had a great night, good for him, but you shouldn't be being carved up by Drew Lock at the end of the game. You shouldn't be. And letting, a receiver get behind you for a touchdown. Because they're not, getting in field goal range at 17-13. They have to get behind you to score a touchdown. And, a perfectly thrown pass, great catch, all of those things. But great teams don't put themselves in that position. And that's what happened with Philadelphia last night. It was one of those games where, and it was Philly was giving 3. And I said, home dog on a Monday night, and especially in Seattle. Now, I thought Geno Smith was going to play. If I had put that bet down, then it'd be like, oh, man, am I in trouble? Because Drew Lock is not as good as Geno Smith. And, they started out slow, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, they're hanging in here. Well, it's because of that crowd. And Peyton and Eli talked about that. That's one of those places that you can try to maybe reenact what it's going to be like, but until you get there, and even being on the sidelines, not even playing, that truly is a home field advantage. Buffalo is the same way. There's certain places. Christian McCaffrey talked about just the noise level and trying to hear, making sure that the play you're calling is the right call, that you're hearing the right call there. But that place is, that's why they have the 12th man that they celebrate there. All righty. 877-3DP Show. Email address dp@danpatrick.com. Twitter handle @DP Show. Poll question, Seton, what are we going to go with first hour of this award-nominated program?
Well, we've got a couple versions of essentially the same poll question.
Okay.
One version is the Eagles are ... in some trouble or just fine, relax. That's a Todd Fritz poll question.
Okay.
Just fine, relax. We have another version of it saying last night's Eagles loss was ... troubling or NBD. That's a Paul Pabst poll question.
I think the Eagles are in a little bit of trouble here. I think sometimes you're on scholarship. And it felt like Philadelphia on scholarship. Hey, we went to Super Bowl last year. I mean, relax. Everything's okay. We got a running game, and we got some good wide receivers, got our tight end back, our quarterback. Our line is as good as anybody. We got a really good defensive line. Okay, the secondary's not that good. Relax. And then all of a sudden you go, this isn't like the 49ers. The 49ers were missing Deebo Samuel and Trent Williams. So it wasn't, hey, our scheme or any of that stuff. This was, you're missing two Pro Bowl, quality players. And they came back, and then everything seems to be right again. With Philadelphia, is there any magic that's returning? And it's time where they understand, hey, we're not what we were last year. We're not as good as we were last year. Can you right the ship? Yes, we've seen teams do this. But a lot of these teams, you go into December or in mid-December, now you're already in playoff mode. Some of these teams you're going to be facing, like Seattle has to win that game. Philly can be like, okay. Now it's a little bit more of a struggle with Dallas. But I think there's real issues here. Yes,
it feels weird to say that a team that just up until a few weeks ago was 10-1 is now in trouble. But how many teams can lose this many games in December and then go on to win the Super Bowl?
Yeah, well, two have done that. Two have done that in the last 20 years. I think there's a bigger issue here. And also, they allow teams to stay in games. That what's, to me, like the Niners blow you out. Philly doesn't do that. And I think that's a little bit more troubling, that it's week in and week out. It's like, we're winning by 3, we're winning by 6, we're down by 4. And I know that's what the NFL is. And Kansas City has been able to do this, that they're barely winning. They keep you in games, but they do win those games. If you have close games and you win close games, okay. It's when you don't. Now all of a sudden you're going, and these are 3 losses in a row. San Francisco had their dip, but they could blame that on injuries. Philly can't do that. Yeah, Paul.
Yeah, the Niners are 11-3. The Eagles are 10-4, but they don't feel at all like similar teams. The Niners have outscored their opponents this year by 191 points. As of this morning, the Eagles have outscored their opponents by 18 points.
Yeah.
Like right now with your mind, isn't it hard to picture the Eagles winning that game straight up, especially because it's going to be at the Niners if they played?
Oh, yeah. I think San Francisco, the way they're playing, as long as they're healthy and they're at home, then you're going to have a different outcome than you had last year in Philadelphia.